Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. Not the best weeks, the last couple of weeks at all for Arsenal. We had basically ruined our Christmas, they ruined our New Year, and they've also ruined the new start to the year. So there's a lot to talk about, and that is what you're going to be doing on this one. Cozy, as always, how are you, man? How are you feeling? Away from Arsenal, how are you feeling?
I'm still fine, but Arsenal is life. So Arsenal lose a game, Arsenal don't do well. It's a bad day. Like it's a very bad day in office. It's going to be a bad week unless we can crack off a good signing, and probably just get a little bit better. I just don't feel fine. I just don't feel fine.
People actually don't understand, like it's you try to make it not like control your mood, but you wake
I
up and you
know.
start thinking
I
about
know.
what happened
I
yesterday,
know.
like
I
what if
know.
you won,
Yeah.
what if this
Yeah.
happened. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but a lot to talk about. So let's start with FA Cup. We lost yesterday to Liverpool. So first up, let's start with that. And how do you feel about going out to the FA Cup? Is that a competition you are targeting to win, or there's some other Arsenal fans that are still like, nah, we don't really need it a lot. Let's focus on that. And how do you feeling about going out to the FA Cup?
Well, actually, one of my friends in the WhatsApp group was telling me that it's time for us to focus on the next one, and I was like, "What are we focusing on? Are you focusing on the Champions League playing like that? Are you focusing on the Premier League playing like that?" It's for me, it was our chance to silverware, and this is because I've looked at the way we play, and I've looked at how Liverpool play, and I've looked at how Liverpool dismantle clubs at the Anfield. If they have 9 games at the Anfield in the next 3 or 4 months, they are going to win all those games, the same as Manchester City. So I'm gutted because I knew this was our chance. They didn't have Van Dijk, they didn't have Salah, they didn't have Soboslai. That is a light team, right? And we saw it actually. We were really, really on to them. We were all over them. We created chances. We failed to bury the chances, and we are out. So it's a loss that really hurts deep to the bones, because you could have won that game. The chances were clear cut. You're better than Liverpool, right? And the smile at the end of the game at Klopp's face shows you he's smiling not because they played well, but he's smiling because he's in disbelief. How have we done that? How have we come here at the end of the day? Been a really poor side and walked away with a clean sheet, with to the next round, to the third round of the FA Cup, and I'm still gutted, and I think I've done 2 streams just offloading my chest. I don't think we put in the performance that we should have. Right now we should be in the third round, and there is only Manchester City. You eliminate Liverpool, there is only Manchester City for you to worry about, and that is a competition that we usually win. It's a competition that Arsenal know. But in the last 3 years, Arsenal have not gone past the fourth round. Like, I think the first game was Southampton or something. Then last year, Manchester City. Then this year, Liverpool. So we play one game, 190 minutes in the FA Cup these days, and we are out. And
There was Nottingham as well.
yeah, there was Nottingham as well. So I just don't feel Mikel is really actually very, very serious when it comes to these competitions. Even if he puts up the team, even if he puts out the whole team, a very good lineup, it doesn't really show you that we are fighting. It doesn't show you that we want this competition. Yesterday it was something very different. I thought everyone wanted to score, everyone wanted to do something, and we just didn't. Like, it is typical character now. Arsenal will hit a lot of shots, will create a lot of chances, will not score. Like, we've had 61 shots in our last 3 games, and we have scored 1 goal, and we have lost all those games, and we don't have a solution yet. So for me, I'm still gutted, but I'm also worried. I mean, I was looking at Robbie on FTF saying it's not a crisis. I think if it's not a crisis, then it is bad, because the crisis is even going to be worse than that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of like in between you and Robbie as well. I don't necessarily think it's a crisis to that point, but the problem is when you lose 3 games in a row and one of them is a competition exit, and a couple of them mean that you drop off from Man City and Liverpool.
And also the broader part is that we have 1 win in 6 games now. I mean, if you've zeroed it down to 3 games where Arsenal played well in 2 of those, that is West Ham and Liverpool, it's not a crisis. It's not even something to be worried about. It's a situation. But when you expand it to the last 6 games, That is where questions are now. We've won one game in our last 6, and we are losing games we should be winning.
I agree. So the lineup yesterday, before the game started, which lineup did you want to see? Because personally, in my starting lineup, I had actually put Havertz up front as well. That was my starting lineup. I had Havertz up front. I didn't have Nelson in my team. I think I had was it Trossard, and then I had Saka starting again. I had Odegaard. I had Jorginho and Rice as well. So were you happy with the lineup? Defensively, I don't think we can do much unless you want Sadio to start. What did you think about Havertz starting up front and the rest of the players? Are you happy with Saka starting again? Are you happy with Nelson starting? Did you want Martinelli to start? Did you want to see a different formation like we talked about last time? Or did you want to see yesterday in terms of squad?
Well, I'm okay with the lineup. I'm okay with the lineup because it is thoughtful of Mikel Arteta. He's seen it that we're very predictable and clubs are easily marking out our patterns of play. So introduce Jorginho into the team, and Declan Rice takes on another role, and then Martin Odegaard plays slightly a little bit advanced as well. I liked it. I really did. But my problem with Mikel, and I think everyone has this problem with him, is when he decides to play some players through their lack of form, like Saka, and then you're dropping Gabriel Martinelli. Now, I like the changes. Kai Havertz up top, he was phenomenal yesterday. He was really, really good. And I said it in my player ratings that I don't care if he didn't score. He actually created some chances that should have been buried. He created some areas that any of those players run into, and we would be scoring goals. I thought Odegaard had a good chance. I thought Reece Nelson had 3 good chances or 2 good chances, if you want to call it that. And we didn't actually, capitalize. So the lineup was okay. Starting with Nelson, again, for me, Gabriel Martinelli should have dropped, and it was rightly so. But Saka as well, he should have dropped. And maybe I understand Mikel because you didn't have Gabriel Jesus, so there was no option for Saka. You've got to play him. You can't drop him and Martinelli at the same time without Gabriel Jesus. So maybe that's the reason. But the one player I want to get rotated is Saka. He's playing with an Achilles injury. We are really tossing around on a time bomb. It is only a matter of weeks, maybe days, before bad luck catches up with us. And when he picks up that injury, this team is going to look very disoriented. So I wanted Saka to rest because, again, look, he was shocking. I'm not going to use another word. That's the word I've used for the last 24 hours. He was absolutely shocking. Decision-making wise, that is the worst I've seen of him. This decision-making wise, he's panicking, he's under pressure. Balls that there are balls that are coming into his way, and he's got to stop it. Pass it to Kai, pass it to Odegaard. He did it very well last campaign, and that's why Odegaard was scoring a lot of goals. But this season, I don't know what's up on him, right? So I wanted him out of that team. Actually, the front 3 I wanted Reece Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe to start. I wanted, Emile Smith-Rowe to start. I wanted Eddie Nketiah to start, and I also wanted Gabriel Jesus, but Jesus was injured, so there was no option. And again, if Mikel can start doing these things, tweaking a little bit here and there, it is actually good because we gave Liverpool a very different game, right? They didn't understand how, our game plan, at least the whole of it. Reece Nelson, I thought dropping into the midfield, running into wide areas, that worked very well for us. And Kai Havertz, despite the fact that he was up top, we didn't really play the long ball into him, but we used him to create channels, which again is unpredictable. Even to me, the fan, I never expected it. I've never seen it this season. So it was actually good. So the lineup is okay. No one blames Mikel Arteta. There is not a lot to work with. There is not a lot to work with. The only blame I have for him is if you cannot play Eddie Nketiah, then you've got to sign a striker. It's as simple as that.
Yep, I agree. Trossard is another option, but he didn't really get a start yesterday. Would you like to see more?
Trossard, since the Champions League injury he picked up, I think it was against either PSV or Sevilla.
Must have been Sevilla.
He's been a little bit off form, and probably also the reason he's been played in midfield. He would love to play out wide or a false 9. In that regard. So I wasn't really too disappointed not to see Leandro Trossard, but I thought he would have come on a little bit earlier than he did, and probably, that's another thing that Mikel has got to work on: substitutions and rotation.
So let's talk about Arteta. That's before talking about the players. Let's talk about Arteta. Obviously, that's the topical conversation right now. Just to make something clear right from the bat, nowhere near like saying Arteta out, but obviously there's some things that we have to talk about. There's a couple of situations where I'm like, I don't like this. So I've never been out, not once, even the 2020. I mean, he went through a lot, especially 2020, losing all those games. I was like, we need to see something. Maybe that FA Cup win was part of the reason why I was also giving him a lot of time. But the truth is, yes, he's been here for 4 years and you need to start seeing wins. We improved a lot last season in a title race that we didn't expect to be in. So this season we expected to obviously kick on and go on and at least win one big trophy if we can, at least a trophy if we can. We are not going to win the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. So there's two things that I don't like about what Arteta does. One of them is the subs. When things are not working, if every single, I write down notes for every single game, and you'd notice when Fulham score a second goal against us, we make a sub.
You make a sub.
When we're leading 2-0 against... make a sub. When we lead 2-0 against Wolves, Zinchenko gives Wolves a goal, we make a sub right after that. It has happened a lot this season. I counted like 7, even Newcastle, when Gordon scored that goal, we make a sub right away. It's happened like 7 or 8 times. Yes, yesterday Gabriel Martinelli came on for Nelson Ali. Fine, 60th minute, that is fine. But at that moment, Havertz has already missed a lot of chances. Saka had already missed a lot of chances. Now, I know Saka created chances in the first half with Odegaard and Havertz missed them, but second half, it was roles reversed and Havertz was the one creating chances and Saka missing. But both of them had missed good enough chances. So you would have at least taken one of them out in the 60th minute. It's not like we didn't really have a bench. Yes, there was youngsters, but Smith was there, Trossard was there, Martinelli was there, there's Nketiah was there if you want to bring him on. There's a lot of players on the bench. So I usually do not like the reactive subs. It has to be proactive. You cannot do the reactive subs every single time. And on top of that, the reason I've never really been out, especially recently, is because obviously they've built a cushion for themselves, him and they do. So I felt like I could trust them. Like even if they said they were going to sign Chris Wood or Havertz in the summer, I'd be like, that's fine. I mean, the likes of Tomiyasu have been great. Ben White has been great. Ramsdale has been great. Jesus, Odegaard, those signings have been great. So you've created a bit of leeway for me to say, you know what, I'm going to trust you. Let me do whatever you want to do. But obviously the problem is, we all knew that Havertz was not a good signing. I was hoping to give him a chance. I'm still giving him a chance, but obviously it's kind of going to the other side of the line more than the one that I wanted to be on. But the signing, obviously, we knew 65 million when you have Maddison and Kudus and WordPress, all of these guys to sign, is not a good move. The problem is if you do that too many times, I'm not Arteta out right now, but if you give him another transfer and then he signs another Havertz and another Lokonga, then you start asking questions. The good signings are outweighing the bad signings at the moment. There's Lokonga, Tavares, Willian, and obviously Havertz for now. It's not working out. It's not worked out those signings, but there's a lot that have worked out. So for me, I'm in a position where I'm saying, let's see what happens this season. So before I come to my judgment, I'm going to ask you what you feel about this season. But at the end of the season, I'm still going to give him this next season, unless things completely capitulate and we finish 7th and we go out against FC Porto, then we'll start asking questions. But I'd still be willing to give him this transfer window and the next transfer window and then see what happens after that. If the summer transfer window hits again, and then you're given almost a similar amount of money, and then he repeats the same mistakes again with another Havertz signing and signing players that we don't need and not signing a striker and all that, then from that point on, I might change my mind, because if you do the mistake once or twice, maybe they had created a path for themselves to be like, listen, maybe you can make 1 or 2 mistakes, just like Saka right now. He's been carrying us for 4 seasons, so maybe you're due a bad spell here without us like throwing the toys out of the pram. But Edu and Arteta, they had built a lot of leeway for me to be like, let me let you do something and let me let you handle the team. So maybe that allows them to make a couple of mistakes. It's a bad mistake because you'd have gotten enough signings. I didn't want Ramsdale to, I didn't want Ramsdale to not be the number 1 goalkeeper. I wanted him to be the number 1 goalkeeper. I didn't really feel the need of Ray as well. Havertz at first, obviously, you're like, man, why are we signing these players? Unlucky with Timber. Rice was a good signing, but 200 million, you should really have really improved the signing. So we'll talk about the target for this. we'll talk about the signings, the targets. So I'll ask you first before I come to mine. How do you feel about Arteta right now, and what needs to happen for you to be like, no, I'm Arteta out? Or what will need to happen from now on in the Champions League and the league for you to say, listen, I'm going to give him one more season, but if we don't win anything again, then you need to go. What are you feeling for this one? Is it a top 4 finish? Is it we finish second? Is it we win the Champions League? How are you feeling?
Yeah, but listen, I think you're bang on. You're absolutely bang on. Mikel is a brilliant manager, and he's a very, very good guy, and he's a smart guy, and I like him. But as manager, you've got to understand, and I think this is because he's still younger, you've got to understand that the job comes first. Like, it comes before your emotions, it comes before your ego, it comes before anything. The job comes first. So the substitutions, first and foremost, I've not seen Saka substituted off because of a bad performance. Now I've seen him come off because he wants to protect him, like one time or two times. I've seen him come off because he's injured, but I've never seen him take him off because of a bad performance. And I think these are things that we've got to do. I know Salah also doesn't come off, but Salah is a different animal of a player. And if you create an ego problem with Saka, it's actually going to be a problem, because when he goes to England, he's going to be substituted off at 50 minutes, at 60 minutes. He's going to reach a time when Southgate no longer calls him. Why? Because he doesn't think he's actually worth the minutes. No matter who's going to be the New England manager, if Saka continues in this form for a full year, they will stop calling him. And now that's where he's going to create a problem for the player. It's going to be, I play 90 minutes for Arsenal every single match, 38 matches in a campaign. How do I not get into the England national team? Because you're not good enough. So for me, Mikel has got to work on that. And then the substitutions. I do not know whether, when they're seated there, they're not actually looking at the game and they're going, I'll give you an example. Zinchenko, Anfield last season, 2-2. The moment Trent literally bypasses him, brings in a very good cross, it's a goal, he takes him off and brings on Kieran Tierney. And I'm like, for what? For what now? Right? Why do you bring on Kieran Tierney? They have equalized towards the end of the game. Why Kieran Tierney now? He should have brought in Kieran Tierney at minute 45, because that's when Liverpool had started targeting Trent. That is when has started targeting Zinchenko, and they were using every power they could to actually get a goal from that side, and they eventually did. So I still have a problem with this ego. I still have a problem with these tiny unprofessionalism, facets. I still have those problems. The favoritism. If Smith Rowe is one of your players that you really trust, you've got to give him a minute in that game, like decent minutes in that game, right? Because he's a shooter, he gets in good goal scoring positions, and he's a clinical guy, right? So you've got to give him some minutes. I don't have a problem with him dropping Eddie, but the Eddie Nketiah problem is a problem he created, plus the Reece Nelson problem. What he did, he gave them long-term contracts, heavy contracts, and now we are playing at the Emirates Stadium, where Eddie has a very good record and he can't play him, right? So for me, he's got to understand now that the job is bigger than anyone, at that side. This is a very big club, big ambitions, big fans, big expectations. Reece Nelson, you as manager, you've got to go. I don't think Reece Nelson is good enough. I'll let him go. We'll cash in on him and we'll get in a winger. Like we are in a forward crisis at the moment, but Mikel Arteta has created that forward crisis step by step. When you go and buy a goalkeeper, and then you come in the press conference and tell us that, listen, there was a time where I wanted to substitute a goalkeeper. Like, really? Is that a priority to substitute a goalkeeper in a game? Has he substituted Raya off in one game or Ramsdale off in any game ever since both of them have been at Arsenal together? No, right? So he's got to understand that this is going to be a difficult job. And I personally am willing to support him, and I'm willing to, every single day we lose a game, I will talk about his arrogance, like I've done yesterday and I've done today. I'll talk about his arrogance on every single daily basis, because it's killing his career and killing him. He's going to become a mediocre manager if he continues this trail of, we win the first 19 games, and the last 19 games of the campaign, we actually throw it away. That is what David Moyes do. Look at West Ham and look at where they're now. Position 6 or 5. But where will they finish? They'll finish, they are mid-table. Like, you don't expect them to push over. And no one is going to hire David Moyes and ask him to, take him over to the top. So for me, if Mikel wants to become a top manager, he's ruthless in some decisions, but he's got to be professional. If you're ruthless with Martinelli, you've got to be ruthless across the pitch. Ruthless with Saka, ruthless with Ben White, ruthless with Ramsdale, ruthless with Raya, ruthless with every single player, right? But I don't have a problem with I'm not a part of the cocoon that says he should be going, the league gunners. I'm not part of that. I still look at the vision. I looked at the football yesterday, right? I'm not part of Don Robbie, who says we win that game 6 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10. No, we don't, because we have a goal scoring crisis for the whole season. So we don't. But I can see the positives, and they are there, right? So keep him until the end of the season, give him a transfer window, and keep him, even if he doesn't win a trophy next season. I'll be fuming, and I know I would say sack him at some point in time, but just keep him. He's a good manager. Now, at what point would I be Mikel Arteta out? This season, we are top 4 contenders. Like, we have just registered ourselves, and yeah, that is the ticket we have. I think we booked the wrong ticket at the beginning of the campaign, right? We thought we were entitled to a top 2 ticket. Someone just gave us a ticket and we didn't look at it. Midway the season, we're like, hey, this is our bus pass, and like, okay, this is not business class. This is economy, right? And now we are flying economy, and we didn't know. We thought we were flying business. But if Mikel Arteta fails to qualify for the top 2 premium European competitions, right? I know that is the lowest, and that's why I've said I don't want to see Arsenal in the Conference League. I will understand, and I can see it happen. Arsenal might finish in 4th. You play a round-off game. You play a playoff, and you end up in the Europa League. Like, that can happen. I won't say, well, sack the manager. We are in the Europa League. No. But I will, if Arsenal dare finish in any of the 2 seasons, this one and next season, if we finish out of those competitions, that is the lowest it can go, right? You can't spend 688 million. You've put a club at the cusp of disaster, right? Do you know that if we spent about 60 million right now and we don't sell one of these players before June 30th, Arsenal have breached the FFP rules. We've never been in that bracket. Like, Arsenal have always been a cautious spender. We really look at our finances, we double check the books, and we even sell players who don't want to go, just to make sure that we are in line with the financial rules and obligations. Adebayo said, I never wanted to leave Arsenal, but Arsene Wenger told me, if you don't leave right now, you're training with the reserves, you're training with the under 23s, so you had to go. And that was a financial decision made by Arsene Wenger to save the team. So if you've come in and you have spent 688 million, you've terminated player contracts, which puts us in a very difficult situation. You've let go of players as free agents, Arsenal getting nothing, all in the name of clearing out and making the team better. We need to see it. Like, we need to see it. You can't compare yourself to Arsene Wenger. You've got to do better than him. Listen, Wenger, if Wenger had spent 700 million in 3 years, what could he achieve? He would have Cristiano Ronaldo, he would have Eden Hazard, he would have bought all these guys, the likes of Higuain that he wanted, and maybe we could have won 1 or 2 of those trophies that we threw away, while we were leading at Christmas. So for me, Mikel has got to check himself. Like, I will be Mikel Arteta out if we hit a new law. If we don't, if
Wow.
we stop qualifying for the premium competitions, he has no excuse. Like, he really, really doesn't have any excuse. Or if he plays Europa League 2 years, this season and then next season, right?
Hmm.
If he finishes in Europa League places,
I-
there's no excuse there. I mean,
In terms of it's not even about premium competitions. We have to get to the Champions League. I think like going out to the Champions League completely and finishing in the Europa League, that would be a disaster. Considering we went out of, the FA Cup early, the Carabao Cup early, and then you will go out to the Champions League early, and then you finish like fifth or sixth, that would be a disaster. If we
yeah,
still push Man City and Liverpool, and you finished even 4 or 5 points behind them, and you still competed for the league up until April or May, and then in the Champions League, get us a good Champions League run, because the truth is we've never even really been past the round of 16 for years. So if we reach the quarterfinal, it's the first time we've been there like for 10 or something years. So if you give us that Champions League run and we get to the quarterfinal, semi-final, and you still compete for the league title, then I'll be willing to give you another transfer window. But next season, obviously during the transfer window, I'll have the microscope on you. I'll be like, I need to see what you're doing completely, because the other windows will be like, listen, if you sign Timber, if you want, that is fine. If you want to sign Raya, that is fine. If you want to sign Havertz, that is fine. But this time I'll have the microscope on everything that you're doing in terms of the transfers. Who are you selling? Who are you bringing in? How much money are you spending here and there? And then you get to next season and still here, I'll also be watching the camp competitions. You've mentioned the FA Cup. We won it. That's our competition. And then we went out to Southampton in the first round. We went out to Nottingham Forest in the first round. We went out to Man City in the second round, in the fourth round of the FA Cup. And then we also went out for the first game. We basically, as you said, we play 90 minutes of the FA Cup every season and it's done. And that is the competition that I always look forward to. I'm looking forward to the draw. I want to see which team you're getting next. You only get one draw per season because you're already out of the competition. So that is something we'll be watching, the Carabao Cup and all that. How can we get far next season? But the next season is far. We need to focus on this season and all that. So for me, I'm still nowhere near that, but obviously there's a lot of things that needs to change, as you've said. The favoritism needs to go, or favoritism needs to go. And another thing is formation. I mean, this only tried something new. We decided we need to control games, but change something. Don't ask Kivio to play as an inverted fullback. Don't ask this one to do that. Change things around. As we said the last video we did, you can change the formation. You can play a back three with Gabriel, Ben White, and Saliba, and then you can have Rice and Jorginho in front of them in a double pivot. You ask Jorginho to stay there. You can ask Rice to drift to the fullback positions whenever you don't have the ball. And then you can have even 5 attackers on the pitch. Odegaard, Martinelli, Nelson if you want, Saka if you want, and a striker as well on the pitch at the same time. Or we can go with what Kozi said a couple of weeks ago. We can change the formation and have a 4-2-3-1 and go back to having Odegaard as the only number 10. That is another option. So there's a lot of ways you can do, even if it means just approaching that changing that for like 2 games, as long as we get back to winning ways. Because if we keep playing the same style in the same game and the same players every time, we're going to lose again. I'm actually very happy that you're not playing again on Wednesday or Thursday, because if you're going to play again, whichever team you're going to play with, it would have been the same. Because if you're not changing anything, it would have been the same. We'd have lost again. So I'm very, very happy that this break is coming up. But that is my stance on Arteta. And also, I'm not one to say, oh my goodness, who is this? Who is saying Arteta out there? Crap. No. Everyone is open to have their own opinion. I understand.
I agree. I think everyone at the moment is coming from a different source of frustration and source of hope as well. Like us, we have not seen Arsenal this good in a long period of time. We didn't get to see the Invisibles, so this is the best Arsenal we are actually seeing, and we are hopeful it actually wins. And then the people who are actually Mikel Arteta out have probably seen the good Arsenal, right? Even the post Invisible era, the first 2-3 years, they were good. Like Arsenal really played some good football during that period of time. So they're looking at this team and they're like, they can easily predict where we are going. But I'll ask you one thing. Mikel says that this year, the motive and the priority is to still work on the squad and build on the squad, until probably gets to Man City, Liverpool, and Bayern challenging levels. Do you think that our squad can challenge at the moment, or do you still think you need to keep on building and building and building for to win, for you to win sustainably?
I mean, obviously, I can't just sit here and say, oh, let's just build for 10 years, 20 years. No.
Yeah.
But The thing is, yes, our squad still needs work. At the end of last season, I said, okay, now let's get another. I said let's get a couple of midfielders, someone to help Partey in midfield. I didn't know Rice was going to come, so either we wanted either Rice or Caicedo. Some people wanted
Yeah,
both, or get Rice and someone else. That is what I wanted: two midfielders, and I also wanted like a winger who could play as a striker. That is what I said. I wanted a winger who can also play as a striker, so
yeah,
someone who can help Jesus up front and also play like on the wing, like what Diaby used to do at Leverkusen. I think you're better at me like in Serie A football. Is it Thuram or some? I think Lautaro Martinez can also play like on the wing and also play as a forward.
yeah. Lautaro Martinez, but also Marcus Thuram, who's gonna
Yeah.
to Inter Milan,
Yeah.
also does it very well.
Yeah, those kind of players who can play as a center forward and also as a winger to help
Yeah,
Saka and to also help Jesus. So
yeah,
that is what
and
I was asking for. I was asking for 3 players, not even a
yeah,
lot. And even Arsenal fans were like, this was the first transfer window that Arsenal fans were like, usually you're like, oh, we want 6 players. I want a defender, I want a goalkeeper, I want a striker. This is the first one that I had Arsenal fans saying, you know what, keep or sell. Everyone was saying keep. Maybe
yeah,
one
yeah.
player
You
sell.
know, yeah,
Which means Arsenal fans were actually happy the players were there. Even people like
yeah.
Jorginho Paul are saying keep.
Keep,
So
yeah. I say,
we
yeah.
were in a very good
True.
spot. We were in a very good spot. People were asking for, keep Xhaka maybe and get a striker and get a midfielder. People had
Yeah,
different ideas. So we did get a midfielder. Rice was a great signing. Timberland is very, very unlucky. And then we got Rare from nowhere because no one really asked for a goalkeeper. So we've not yet paid that money, but you're going to pay it eventually, and it's going to be like
yeah,
30 million. So no one really asked for a goalkeeper. So we solved the problem that we didn't have. And I really love Ramsdale. But in that situation, as I say, that had really built a lot of trust in me. So I'd be like, maybe seeing something that we haven't seen. But then again, you also go and get Havertz, who was out of sorts at Chelsea. And even with that, I was still hoping to give you like some leeway in terms of doing whatever you want to do because you've built a great team. So 1-2 mistakes, I had been like, okay, fine, but that is like 100 million mistake, and it cost you the Carabao Cup, it costs you the FA Cup
as well.
already. So even if you sort it out right now, it's halfway too late because already 2 competitions have gone, and you have the 2 harder ones remaining. So in terms of giving him time to build, I still think we're not. In terms of squad, for Liverpool have been able to change their whole midfield in one transfer window. And that is another thing that I also don't like, that the fact that we were ahead of Liverpool last season and they've caught up with us that quickly.
Yeah,
And we had
yeah.
200 million to spend as well. I don't like the way they've caught up with us that quickly. So if they're better than us, I don't like it at all, because that means we made a mistake somewhere in the transfer window. For Man City, I understand, but I don't think we're near Man City at the moment.
No,
They can
no.
play Doku tomorrow, they can play Grealish today, they can play Alvarez tomorrow, Foden today, they can bring in Kovacic or Rodri if you want, or Rico Lewis if they want. There's a lot of options, but for us, we do have the options, like Trossard and Smith on the bench, but he doesn't trust them. So first of all, can we see the players that we have and see how they do? If between now and the end of this season I see Smith Rowe playing 10 times and I'm not impressed by him 7 times, then we can talk about selling him. If Nelson does not perform at all, because those players have saved us and saved at different stages. Like Nelson last season, he kept us in a title race, and Smith Rowe basically and Saka saved us for like a couple of seasons. So I think they deserve to get chances. I don't know if it's because of Smith Rowe's injury that is why he's like not playing every single time or only coming on for 10 minutes, but let us see them more. And obviously, let's not drop off of the title race completely, and let's compete in the Champions League until I predicted us to get to the quarterfinals. Let's get to that at least, because I predicted us to win the Carabao Cup as well, and we're out of that. So there's no room for mistakes too much. But I don't think squad, I think we're behind Liverpool and Man City at the moment, not even just in terms of quality, mentality. The likes of Van Dijk and Trent have won everything already. We don't really have that. They have players like Salah who've won everything, and still have players who've won everything everywhere. So even Alvarez, players who've won World Cups and stuff. So I don't think we are there yet, but that's why I'm saying if another transfer window, this is a January transfer window, and the end of the transfer window, we have like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months to think about it, to like know which players they're going to sell and which players are going to do this and that to get the money, and no more mistakes in terms of the transfer window. Because yes, he signed a lot of very good players, but also the likes of Tavares and Lokonga and those guys, and as you say, the cancelling of contracts. The cancelling of contracts I'm okay with, because they weren't really his players, so if he didn't really want them there. But right now, if I see him cancelling Havertz's contract and cancelling Ramsdale's contract, then I'll be like, yeah, the one who signed them. So speaking of transfer window, there's if you're to if you're to get, we were told right now we have to sell, like we've been told, we have to sell players to get money to buy players. Which, if you're the manager right now, which 3 players would you be looking to sell to get money? If it is your option, your choice right now, any 3 players you want from the squad to sell, even if you want to sell Jesus, whichever, which 3 players would you pick?
Well, I think it should be for significant income as well. So that's the problem we have. We should be selling, but for significant income, for some good money. And this could be harsh, but I think we might have to do a Felipe Coutinho, Luis Suarez kind of situation where you have to, sell to reinvest in the squad. Liverpool have done it and it has paid off. So probably we could also use the same strategy. But I think the first player I would sell, and this is because there is good money there. And Mikel Arteta now he wants players like Amadou Onana. We might get a couple of reimbursements in midfield. I think it's Emile Smith Rowe. If you're looking for someone to that you're going to get good money in, I think is Willock or Iwobi our most important player, our most expensive player.
I think it's Iwobi. They are very close. I think Iwobi is like 40 million and Willock like that something. I think they're very close, but
they're very close.
Iwobi.
So,
yeah.
I think Emile Smith Rowe can actually smash the current transfer record for a player sold from Arsenal. He can go to like 50 and above, right? Because when you look at Cole Palmer, you look at these young players that these clubs are actually tossing around, 45 million. You look at Gordon, 40, 50, 60 million. So I think Emile Smith Rowe would be the first player. But one, because I love him and I want to see him play, and I want to watch him every single weekend, because all of us know the kind of player he is. And when you're at Arsenal and under manager that we know is sick about playing an unchanged 11 in most of the games, and you're not part of that unchanged 11, it's a problem. So we might actually have him, depreciate in value, over time, over nothing. So if you're not going to use him, he needs to talk to him and sell him. So I'd sell Emile Smith Rowe first. The second player, and this is like really, the second player I would sell, we've brought him in at 30 million, right? We have kind of increased his value. He's played for a big team now, so he's going from Arsenal to another big team. Is David Raya. I would keep Ramsdale right now. I would keep Ramsdale and I would sell David Raya. And I think I'm one of those people who really made a big mistake when I looked at the numbers. He was saving more because Brentford were having less of the ball as compared to Arsenal. Like that's the reason why he was saving more. But
remember we haven't even bought him yet. So you buy him and then sell him at the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, do you think we can raise around 45 million in David Raya if we sold him right now?
Yeah, I mean, we have to first buy him, obviously, and then we have to play him until the end of the season, obviously.
Yeah, if we buy him, it's a 5-year deal that he signs, right? I would sell him. The way Brighton did with Marco Cucurella, sign you for 1 season, move you on the next season. I would sell him because one, we have a goalkeeper competition that I don't think is necessary, and I don't think we rightly so replace our goalkeeper. I don't think there was a problem there, right? All the excuses from Mikel Arteta have shown us one thing: they don't work, right? The excuses were actually false. Ramsdale's ball distribution yesterday was top, like elite. How about giving him encouragement? How about trying to find a solution for him to focus in games 100%, right? That is what we needed. By bringing a goalkeeper that pushes him out of the starting 11, a goalkeeper who is literally not an upgrade to Ramsdale. At the moment, we have seen it. So he's the other player I would move on, and I still think we can get around 50 million or around 45 million. So I would move him on. Eddie Nketiah is the other player, and I think with Eddie, it is close to being the Emile Smith Rowe situation, just that I don't believe he's Arsenal levels. With Emile Smith Rowe, I look at him and I'm like, if he was playing for Aston Villa, I would be shouting, sign him, right? I want us to sign him. But for Eddie, he needs to get a career at a club that really suits him. it's Crystal Palace. I don't know why I always think about Crystal Palace. I've related him to Brighton before, but I think Brighton at the moment, when they have Joao Pedro and Ferguson, unless they sell one of them, I don't
Yeah.
think he's that quality. I don't think he's those levels of those two guys. So maybe he could look at Brentford. He could look at Crystal Palace. If Brentford sell Ivan Toney, he could be a replacement. I mean, you never know. For me, Eddie is another 40 million there. Another 40 million. So if you ask me 3 players that I think Arsenal should sell, get good money, I think Briar guarantees us good money. I think Eddie Nketiah guarantees us around 40, and Smith Rowe guarantees us around 55, 60 million.
Oh wow, interesting. So you'd keep Nelson. So for me, Nketiah, I would sell Nketiah. He'd be the first one. Because I think you can still get at least 30 million for him because he scored Premier League goals and stuff. I would actually sell Reece Nelson, unfortunately. Those are hell-end guys, but unfortunately, that's how teams like even Chelsea are trying to get their money by selling players like Gallagher. So Nketiah for me, then Nelson. The third one is very, very tricky because if you're looking to get money, obviously people would be screaming, sell Cedric, sell El Neni. Those ones are not going to get you money. It's those 2 particular players that are going to get you money. I'd love to keep 2 goalkeepers if they were both happy. I'd absolutely love to keep both of them. But listen, I love Ramsdale. I remember for the first time when we signed Ryan, we did the Back 5 podcast. I was almost crying on the podcast saying, listen, I didn't want Ramsdale to go and all that. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like he's happy at all. And yesterday we went out of the competition. He knows probably that is his last match.
Yeah.
The tension that it has created with the family and all that, I can't really see it recovering too much. So I'd be looking to cash in on Ramsdale as well. So Ramsdale, I really love. Nelson and Nketiah. The thing with Nelson and Nketiah, I've never really been in a position where I don't hate them the way people would hate Havertz and Nketiah, but I've never really been in a position where I'm like, I absolutely love Nelson and Nketiah. If you had to go to videos from 2 years ago, I was actually saying sell Nketiah and Nelson. When Nelson came from a loan deal, I was like, Smith Rowe and Saka have come after you guys and they've overtaken you. Martinelli has come after you guys, he's overtaken you. Nketiah has gotten too comfortable. Nelson hasn't really impressed that much in his loan deals. I wanted to sell them both. But last season, Nketiah scored some crucial goals. Nelson scored some crucial goals. So we were willing to give them a chance. But it hasn't really worked and doesn't seem like Arteta loves Reece Nelson at all. So those are the 3 players that we're looking to sell. So we agree on Nketiah, but the others you want Rare. I'm the one who wanted Ramsdale to get sold, and you want who else did you want? Smith Rowe. For me, I'd still be looking to give Smith Rowe.
Yeah, actually, this is what I would say. If Mikel is realistic about trimming the squad in the summer, we must get rid of at least 8 players. At least 8 players, right?
You're counting the likes of El Neni?
El Neni, yeah, right?
Okay.
So El Neni should go. Reece Nelson should go. Cedric should go. Kivio, in my opinion, should go. If you're not going to use Emil Smith Rowe, the Emil Smith Rowe depends on the manager. Is he going to use him? He stays. Is he going to give him less minutes? You don't keep him. Eddie Nketiah, automatic disqualification is should go. For me, it's a no-brainer. One of the 2 goalkeepers is going to leave. That is one thing we know that's going to happen in the summer. That is where we're going to begin the transfer daily from Androby. one goalkeeper has to go.
And what about the players that are on loan? Tavares, Tierney.
Look, Tavares, that's a gone case. Tierney, that's a gone case as well. Lokonga, that's a gone case. Those are players that are never going to play for the team as well. Actually, if you factor into players on loan, we might have to release about 15 players.
15.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you the truth. If Arsenal sign, Amadou Onana, or if we get to sign Amadou Onana in the summer, even if it's later in the summer, I think Partey then has to go. If we get Zubimendi, then Partey has to go because you need more reliable players in that midfield. So you've got to be ruthless. You've got to be, you've got to make the difficult decisions. Do you let go of Partey and bring in Zubimendi? Maybe you do. Probably. We'll see what happens. Jorginho as well, right? If I would swap Partey and Jorginho to get Zubimendi and Onana. Younger, fresh legs, and better physicality.
I've actually seen like almost half of the Arsenal fan base entertaining what you've just said about Kukurea being signed by Brighton one season and
Yeah.
going. Some people have said sell Havertz. How do you feel about that?
No, 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 no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
You'd keep him. Okay, interesting. So those are the three players each of us would sell. Let us know which three players would sell. And Kozi's talked about Amadou Onana. Let's finish on that and on this one. That's the latest news on today. Tavolieri says talks intensive currently ongoing between Everton and Arsenal for Amadou Onana, the Belgian midfielder who has always put his priority to stay in Premier League, keen on the move. Things could develop quickly. So how do you feel about this Onana one? Obviously, people are like, we're supposed to be talking about a striker. Why are we talking about a midfielder? How do you feel about it? Do you feel like this is a chance to get someone to replace Partey for the next couple of years? Or are you still like, why are we signing him? Why not just sign a striker? How are you feeling about Onana joining Arsenal?
Well, apart from the excitement of seeing a player I've always wanted to see in a bigger side, joining my side, I am not really convinced about the real importance and what Amadou Onana brings to this Arsenal team. Depth, yeah, probably depth, yeah. But for me, what are Arsenal looking at? What are we looking for? I think Mikel has got to ask himself that question, and they've got to ask themselves that question. What are we looking for? Are we looking for a concentrated, calm mind on the ball, like we've been linked with Douglas Luiz all the time? All right. Are we looking for an elite, guy in transitioning the ball like Partey? So you could think about Martin Zubimendi. Are we looking for
tough tackler, Palhinha?
Yeah, top tackler. Are we looking for a classic eight box to box like Amadou Onana fits that profile? What is it about Amadou Onana that Arsenal desperately want to spend around 40 million for? And we either get him or we bust. I'm not really sure about this anyway. I'm excited. I've seen him play and I appreciate his game, but he is not Thomas Partey, and his playing style is very, very close to Declan Rice. Wants to carry the ball, so he's not going to be releasing Martinelli and Saka quicker. He's passing into tight spaces and releasing players that are like on the half turn. That is not his great part of the game. So again, it's a confusing one for me. It's not the Kai Havertz one, because Amadou Onana has done well at Everton. The last two, ever since he came here, I think in 2022, he's done well. He's really, really done well. But is it our priority? If it's summer signing, I would understand. Like, we are going to have a clear route. I would understand. But I think Mikel Arteta wants to either take advantage of the situation, the financial situation at Everton, or he thinks that maybe, because you can't trust Thomas Partey's fitness, you might we might need it. We might reach a time where Havertz is playing up top, then Onana, Rice, and Odegaard are playing in midfield, because that could be the future. Havertz up top, and then these three in midfield. Maybe if he's looking at that, maybe it makes sense. But again, for me, it does not, right? Because in that left number 8, I would want a player who still has the instinct to score a lot of goals. I would want a clutch player in that, in that position. Now,
who would play as the number 8? Him or Rice?
Onana would play 8. Yeah, Onana, because you look at Everton, James Garner and Idrissa Gana Gueye are behind him and Abdoulaye Doucouré. Yeah, so it's Onana to play 8. He's not an excellent tackler. He's not in that bracket. Not an elite ball winner like Declan Rice. But his ability, his engine, Patrick Vieira. Like carrying the ball. He's so very, very good at that. Yeah, so he's that traditional 8. So he's not a bad signing. I would love him. But for us being on the brink of FFP, I would rather risk that by bringing in a number 9 or a striker, or even if it's just a forward. I don't care if it's just a number 9, but even if it's just a forward, right? Like there's Joaquin Correa. Joaquin Correa he was at Inter Milan.
Yeah.
I would like such kind of forward. Not really fixated on being I'm the number 9, but really fixated with the idea of I'm a forward, and when I get to the forward positions, I should be, quickly snapping those shots into the back of the net.
So Nana is the complete opposite to Pat, as you've said, in terms of
Yeah, complete.
fitness. So if you take a look at the fitness for Nana, the last 3-4 seasons, he missed 11 games due to adductor in pain, and then growing problems 7 days. So he only missed he missed 3 games, as you can see on the right, in the 2020-2021 season. The 21-22 season, he didn't miss any game at all. 22-23, last season he only missed 2 games, the leg injury, and then this season so far he's missed 4 games, the calf injury. So for me, the best ability is availability, as we've said numerous times when you're doing shows about Ben White and Rice and Havertz, all those guys that can play every single game. Onana is one of them. So do you think you'd act as a direct party replacement, or do you think we could actually see all 3 of them on the pitch at the same time this season?
No, I don't think we would see I don't think we would see all of them on the pitch at the same time. I think what we would see is in games where we have a little bit less of control, I think we would see him in midfield alongside Thomas Partey, like in kind of a double pivot. But in games where we are, because I think what Mikel has in plan for Rice is to kind of make him, a Lampard kind of guy, like allow him that freedom to bombard forward. But in games where we Arsenal are really in total control, I think it would be Thomas Partey, and I won't be surprised for that 30 million euros or 45 million euros for him to be a backup player that Arsenal eventually get rid of 3 years later for around 50 or 55 million.
Yeah, so as you said, you'd pull out of this deal and get a striker instead with that money.
Yeah, I would definitely. It's a deal that we can do. We can do in the summer. It's a deal that we don't have to rush into right about now. There's so many strikers you can sign for that amount. 50 million, 60 million. There's a lot. I was looking at Sky the other time, and they were saying that Juve know their financial situation. They don't want to sell, but if anything came in around 50 million, they'll be forced to listen and probably negotiate a deal. Depending on the offer. So I would still hunt for a striker. We only sign him if we fail to get a striker, and then we are like, we just didn't get a striker, so let's go with Ahmad Onana. After all, he's part of our targets.
Yeah, absolutely true. So for me, I really wish you could get both. Obviously, because of Partey's injury, it seems like I've just had the latest news that Partey and Timber are going with the team to Dubai. So let's hope that they will be training more and more, and by February or something, they could be back. But let's see how this one develops. But I actually feel like this is more realistic for them to sign. I actually feel like this one could be done very easily, like the Havertz one, and then he might not get to strike, and then they just want to make the midfield and the defense solid. Let's see how that one develops. You've talked about the striker final one. Have you given up on Ivan Toney?
I've kind of given up on Ivan Toney. I was watching his him on the podcast of the Diary of a CEO, and he said there is no way I can betray Brentford. If they want to sell me, I would definitely join another club. I would love to go to another club. But if they want to keep me, I would stay. I would sign a new deal. I'm respectful. They've been around me and they have wrapped their hand around my shoulders. So for a player like, to say that, and then Thomas Frank come out and says, listen, we won't sell. At the moment, we don't have a reason to sell. We are short, of options in attack. It's not an option, right? You're going to face a lot of resistance. We have 20 days to go to the end of the window. Just go for an option that is available. Like I've seen Bayern are not blocking the way for Choupo-Moting. I don't think PSG are blocking the way for Hugo Ekitike. I don't think Juventus are strongly going to block the way for Dusan Vlahovic. If you can agree a deal, let's try to do those doable deals.
Awesome. Let's finish with 4 or 5 quick fire questions. Just answer yes or no, no explanation at all. Will Onana be an Arsenal player by the end of January?
Yes.
Will we sign a striker this January?
No.
Will we finish in the top 4 this season?
Yes.
Will we win a trophy this season?
No.
Will Arteta be Arsenal's manager next season?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting. That was awesome as always. We now have a 2 week break. We don't have a game.
Yeah.
Do you also think that's a good thing for us, or would you have preferred us to play this week?
Well, I'll tell you something. There are times when you have a bad run and you need a break. You need to catch a break, right? It would have been better for us to go into the break with a Liverpool win, because mentally, psychologically, that would have actually prepared the team. But also, I think the players need a break. It has been, thick and fast, Champions League for the first time, this competition, that competition. I think the break comes at the right time. We go back, we reset, right? And the focus right now, actually, is to win 16 games out of the remaining 18. Like, that is the goal. If we fail at that, it's bad. Like, it's really bad. So that's the focus. And can we do it? Let's see what mentality they come back with after Dubai.
Yep. We won. We did that in the first half of last season. So let's hope we can do that again. Basically, you have to do what you said Liverpool usually do. You have to win all your home games first of all, and then you can afford to sleep up, as you said, 2 games. And for those 2 games, not 2 losses, you can afford maybe a loss and a draw. So it's tough. You're going to have to win 16 out of 18 games. There's a time when we won a title, but as you say, that was when we had the likes of Henry and those guys and Vieira's. There's a time, I think 2002 or something, 98 to 2002. I think we won 16 out of the last 17 games to win the title. I think we were 4th in December. It might have been 1998, and then we just won a lot of games in a row and won the title. We'd need something like that. It's going to be big. But thank you, Kozi, for coming on. As always, we will do a show on Kozi's channel. Make sure to check out his channel. The link is in the description. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.